Welcome if I did a show analyze and solve PR kerfuffles from a world not beyond. I'm your host, Alexio, author, Seven Secret Sources of Inspiration, a snappy guide for creative procrastinators. Joining me as always is Canadian Bloody Elbow and Literal Podcast, Eugene S. Robinson from Aussie.com, and author of Fight Everything You Ever Want to Know About Ass Kicking, but afraid you get your ass kicked for asking. Collectively,
Beautiful.
MMA Pancholes.
Pancholes! All right.
Eugene,
Sir.
welcome back.
Yes, thank you. Glad to be back. It really is wonderful to be back here in Northern California. I mean, when I could have been in Rome, Milan, or Naples again. But, you know, it's fun.
With adoring crowds.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I wish I could pay those people to follow me around all the time.
Well, speaking of being followed, you're the UFC.
Oh, yeah.
Raquel Pennington's corner enabling her brutal beatdown at UFC 224 generated mainstream attention live in public, if you will. How do you maximize the spotlight to your brand's advantage?
I'm the oofsie.
Yes.
And what I do to maximize the exposure,
because no one is paying. This is the first time I've seen, the last time you see this kind of attention is McNugget's Daley attack, and before that, McNugget's Floyd Mayweather. I mean, this is like one of the prime moments where they have mainstream attention. So what do they do? Is there anything they can do to seize the moment?
Yes, you pivot away from the tragedy story, which turns people off. It's a black eye, not a feather in the cap. We pivot away from Raquel Pennington. Besides which, like I said on the Show Stomper, I think that her corner did 100% the right thing. 100% the right thing. That's in my kid Nate doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Look, I've seen fighters destroyed by casual decisions made by the guys who sit on the fucking stool. I don't know if I can say this, even though I raised 3 daughters. I don't know if I can say it about female fighters, but I know with male fighters, you can literally destroy from root and extirpate. Extra is the word I'm looking for. You can extirpate them from their souls by letting them quit. It just doesn't. Rather take a beating than that quit, which permanently, like Joseph Conrad said in Lord Jim, cements this kind of fucking cowardly approach to life. Girl children, my daughters, of course, as a father, I could not stand to see my daughter take excess punishment, and I would have stopped the fight. However, if I believe that she, at one point I remember telling a teacher in advanced placement class, one of my kids was struggling, and she goes, well, she really take the B track. And I go, I would rather her get a C in this class than to leave. I mean, you gotta give her a chance to get back on that fucking thing and just quit. You can't quit. So even though she might be angry with her corner, and she should fire them if she still is angry, I still think in general you do a fighter a disservice by pulling them out unless they're hashtag February ? Then you don't pull them out. However, that wasn't the premise. The premise is, if I'm the oofsie, I turn away from the travesty and I focus on the generator of the travesty. She's a killing machine. Amanda Nunes, who's afraid to fly and has got some mystery ailment that I believe was part of the fighter's work slowdown. But you focus on her and you start ginning up her next fight. That's exactly what Don King would have done. That's exactly what Bob Arum would have done. Yeah. This is a tragic story, but she was up against an unusually phenomenal performer in the Amanda Nunes, who smashed fucking Ronda Rousey,
yep.
The most dominant person. This woman is a killing machine, and she will not be stopped. You gloss over all that shit about her being, I think I might retire. Gloss over, I got this head thing, I can't fly. You gloss over all of her prior missteps. You focus your PR, if not actual dollars, efforts on her, and you better fucking get Sean Shelby, also known as Keith, working to get her to set her up with another fight before the end of 2018 that's worth a good goddamn. Do not waste this momentum.
What about you, Nate?
Eugene.
Stay focused on the premise.
Just like a laser, Eugene, like a laser,
yeah,
like the Trump brothers on the grift. I am focused on the premise.
Yeah, okay.
But now that we've heard from you, we're going to hear from someone, the Denver Post. That's the mainstream media.
Yeah.
In the heartland. Someone that the Denver Post. Denver is totally the heartland. What would you know about the heartland, you West Coast,
mile high city? Forget it.
Did you learn anything in Stanford? Come on now. All right.
I mean, at Stanford.
I'm trying to get to a joke here.
A joke. Okay, yeah,
just quit stomping on my setup here. The Denver Post, mainstream media from America's heartland, says noted MMA journalist. And it doesn't say Eugene Robinson. It says noted MMA journalist Ariel Helwani.
Well, no, if they were going to say Eugene Robinson, they would have said award-winning journalist.
Of course.
Right.
Of course. Yes. Of course, Ariel nominated again for the MMA Journalist of the Year awards.
Oh, have those things come out? They came out again. I barely pay attention anymore.
I see. They put the gas cans away and just moved on.
So they came out today? When did they come out?
They came yesterday, actually.
Yesterday. How high up was my name?
Yesterday.
I didn't. You probably should look. I just did a quick glance. Didn't see. Yeah. But Ariel Helwani said, "This is incredibly uncomfortable watch. Will recover later. What?" And throughout this, no technical advice is shared. Just a pep talk and a refusal to listen to their fighter. I think. And then he closes with Pennington, who is the epitome of a fighter, deserves better than this. I think that the dean of our sports has spoken.
You know what a painful watch was? Him blubbering, trying to get his job back. That was a painful watch. This was a fight. Two well-matched opponents going at it, hook and tongue or whatever the expression is. I mean, that it's a fight. It's what happens.
I think Dana and Ariel's relationship is a well-matched fight. I don't know if you've ever been to a BDSM club. I haven't, but I've heard that a true sadistic top and a really masochistic bottom, it can be a true battle of equals, and frequently the bottom flips.
Yep.
And so I think sometimes Dana's in there just whipping Ariel to the point that his arms are given out, and the poor man, you know how red-faced he is anyway. Ariel shows no signs of the safe word.
Yeah. When you get somebody with self-abnegation as their middle name, what do you do?
I know. It's sometimes reminds me of the late great Bob Flanagan, the super masochist.
Yes. I remember.
Yeah. Anyway,
Premise.
The opportunity here is for the UFC to do a sort of apology round and let some gas bags tut and hand wring. And then the word gets out that the UFC is a good place to see horrific violence that anyone would be disgusted by. And that spells money.
Exactly. That's right.
Hey, you got to
see, Alexi knows I'm talking sense.
No, because I think both you guys are saying the same thing.
Because
at the end of the day, I think that one, drawing upon the strength of Amanda Nunes and ginning her up for her next fight, I think is key. I think it is also key. I thought that you were speaking sarcastically, Nate, in terms of, the sympathies of the sport. I think that you have to draw a hard line and embrace brutality. What are they going to do? Call it human cockfighting again? So what? They got Endeavor backing them and owning them.
Yeah, right.
People want to see a sport where you can't throw in the towel, baby.
Yep.
You take your licks, you go back in that octagon.
And I think we're postmodern in the sense that, we're used to seeing women do tough and difficult things. We don't need there's no shrinking violence in here. But I want to exult in something more. I got a text here from somebody who's listening to the show live, and they say, I live in Denver, but I grew up in Bellevue, Nebraska, and West Des Moines, Iowa. Denver is not the heartland.
Again, no one cares what the D-man
Where the
has to say.
It's where the Midwest meets the West, but it is not the heartland. It's like calling Texas the South. He was born apparently in Texas. The difference is Texas wins their wars, and well, he goes on, but.
Speaking of going on,
yes.
Nate, you're the UFC. Jay Glazer's glowing analysis of his student and platinum album rapper Wiz Khalifa's MMA skills result in Khalifa telling TMZ that he'll fight the MMA if the money's right. Should you make it happen?
So we're the UFC.
Yeah, not Bellator, where he seems to want to fight.
How big do you think Wiz Khalifa is? Like, he's significantly bigger than, say, T.I., right?
Yes.
Yes. But he's not as big as, say, JC.
No.
So maybe a welterweight?
Okay.
Maybe? Huh? You see where I'm going with this?
CM Punk.
What do you think? Give Wiz Khalifa 2 amateur bouts, maybe? Let him train in any camp that's not Rick Rufus's for a few months? And then
whoa.
CM Punk.
Whoa. What do you have against?
Wait.
What do you have against friend and knuckle up Rufus?
Yes. Just hear me out here. Now we could get an Ariani CM Punk hit rap single, dissing Wiz, and
Eddie Bravo.
It just sells itself. Oh yeah, Eddie Bravo will come in and play guitar like Eddie Van Halen on Beat It. You know, so it's not because Ariani is going to be bringing the street cred.
Oh, she's got a lot.
CM Punk, I'm sure, is a gifted rapper. So boom, add Eddie, this Wiz, and it'll be like the Jay-Z and the Nas of today.
You know, it's like being at the Indy 500 and watch that car just spin off the track. Watching Nate trying to construct this joke on the fly, and I like waiting for him.
This is hours of preparation.
I was out a week. I can see things clearly now.
No. You might not remember LL Cool J versus Cool Mo D.
I do remember that.
This could,
Wild West. Wild West. Come on, I'm fucking an old cat, So.
I was just listening to some of Ariani's old school jams, and I think they've held up over time.
I'm interested that she is, as far as I know, the longest serving ring girl ever, and I can't figure that out. My favorite was Amber, but of course,
I can't comment on this topic.
Yeah, I was just about to say some other stuff, and then I would just figure I gotta keep my mouth.
So why don't you say something about the question, Eugene?
The premise is Wiz Khalifa. I'm the UFC. Wiz Khalifa's expressed an interest. Do I let him get himself hurt?
Open up the bank account. Some of the some of the 150 millions from the.
Hey, I don't know if you remember Mike Tyson.
Wait. He's 6'4".
And?
Well, I'm just saying he's a big guy.
He'd be like Corey Hill, the guy that snapped his leg.
Well, still, Corey Hill was a phenomenal athlete. That was something else. But I don't know if you've ever beaten up a 6'4" guy. I have. Actually, he was a guy who I wrote about in the One Finger Punch chapter of the Fight book, which is object lesson in not letting anal fear take over your life. That's how I lost that fight. You want to know what I mean? Read the book. But whatever. 6'4", I don't give a shit. Do you know how many times during the reign of Mike Tyson that we heard every single fucking bum on the street corner at the storefront said, I'd fight him for that much money. I'd fight him for that. And finally, at some point, some radio show, they got Tyson. They said, I could. And he said, I guess he'd gotten tired of hearing it, or hearing it secondhand. He goes, you realize I'm a professional. Do you know what that means? I do this all the time. Do you know when you're sitting having lunch, I'm doing this. When you're playing with your kids, I'm doing this. When you're getting fired from that job that you used to, I'm doing this. I've done this way since I'm like 12 years old. You have, in other words, you have no chance. I heard some guy at jiu-jitsu this morning say, I want to stay to get good enough so I can tap Leo. And I go, you do realize you have no chance of this happening. I know it's hard to conceive of never. Even though we're finite creatures, we would never. What do you mean never? Certainly, if I put my mind hard. No, that's American bullshit. You're not going to do it.
What if he cut Leo's brake lines? Engineers a horrific accident. He's paralyzed from the neck down. The kid trains for the next 5 years.
And still loses.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Yeah, yes. If they manage to do this to Wiz Khalifa's opponent, then Wiz Khalifa has a chance. I guarantee you Wiz Khalifa is doing a Kardashian thing, wants the press, wants to get known as some sort of kind of badass, and no matter what kind of money they come up with him, it won't be enough.
Are you saying he can't hang with CM Punk?
He can hang with CM Punk, but
there you go.
But I think that's going to bog down. How much money would they give him to fight? I mean, UFC. Yeah, right.
That's what we want.
I saw Danny Bonaducci fight fucking Chachi, and that wasn't worth a fucking plug nickel. So what
about Shriek beating up Potsy or whatever?
That was depressing. As was Aaron Moran against Tanya Harding. All those fights sound funny until you're there.
China versus Joey Wadafuko.
We talked about that last week with Nash. An episode in which the fans, I'm just saying, Eugene, I'm not saying you weren't missed. I'm just saying don't watch those shows.
I don't watch any of the shows
Shortest
anyway.
shows ever. That's it. We'll be back next week. So Nate,
so wait. I'm he's been cutting me off here. So
he was only 20 minutes in. Come on, let them in.
No, because you keep it throwing. So Wiz Khalifa, nice PR ploy. We got it because we know that you're not fighting anybody of any consequence. And if I'm stupid enough and Sean Shelby makes enough of a pitch to me, the bald one, if that's who I am in this premise, maybe
also known as Keith.
Yeah, also known as Keith. Maybe I go for it. Otherwise, I mean, what is do I want to do? George Plimpton played for the Paper Tiger article, played professional football. It was a nice bump, but it's not like he played a game. It's not like this was something that they were selling tickets for. I mean, it's just at a certain point, there's a critical level of bullshit, and you got to veer away from it. Like XFL, that started out at a critical level of bullshit, and you see what happened to them. Don't go there. Don't do this.
You know what, Eugene? You went to Italy, and despite that and coming back, Nate was gone. The harmonic convergence of your words and the next topic flow remains intact.
Yes.
Right? When you're talking about bullshit, when you're talking about discontent, you're Bellator.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Daley booed the fight he was in while he was fighting.
Man.
Is there any way to make this a McNuggets mainstream moment?
Yeah, you just put that on your Instagram, you put that on your Snapchat, you put that on your WhatsApp, you put that on whatever Giga that the kids are into, put it up on your Facebook, you tweet that shit out because that was a moment of pure cage genius. You're like, what the fuck is he doing? And you realize this is the only sport you do that. If you compete in IBJJF, they want you totally quiet. You could lose points for fucking talking. I talk all the time on the mat, but I try to keep it like so that the ref is not listening, like, oh, you okay? Sorry about that thumb in the eye, shit like that. Sorry about the elbow in the throat. Sorry about the knee. I mean, after a certain point, you're gonna stop apologizing. But so I think that was fucking genius. I thought it was absolute genius. And I think it's snatching victory out of the jaws of defeat. I think Paul Daley did himself a solid, and I think if they're not making hay off this, they're idiots.
What about you, Nate?
I mean, did he just say this was good?
Yeah.
I'm saying, you know what? It's happened. So I got to spin this thing. I'm gonna put it out there like I'm not ashamed of it. Like,
let me draw on some philosophy here.
Oh my God.
What if, and I'm going to put this in terms, even you'll be able to follow Eugene. What if one of Eugene's bands played a stadium show in Europe and no Americans were there? Did it happen? Huh? Well,
yeah, because we got photos.
Did anybody watch the Bellator thing happen? No. And what's the headline that you take away? Like, Monday morning, you're talking to your friends at the office like, dude, did you see that fight that was so lousy? Even the guy that was in it was bored and booing? I mean, no, that's not a narrative. This isn't Fedor's Pride highlights that you can tell the guys, I saw this crazy Russian and he was unstoppable. The guy spiked him on his head and then he can't. No, this was, I saw this guy losing and bitching about it. And then I turned the channel and went back to real fight.
I didn't hear any of that. All I heard was, this is fucking genius. Are you watching this? People were tweeting like, you got to look at Paul Daley. He's booing himself. It's meta. It's meta. It's meta. But maybe I got smarter fans than you.
I hear you've got dozens or thousands or millions of European fans.
I just love the fact that he's talking shit and like in normal situations, you're talking shit while getting punched. Like your ass getting knocked out or your lip busted. But for some reason, I don't know what it was, he was able to take blows mid-sentence, finish the sentence, start another sentence, get punched, just as lucid as he was before. Well, I just, either he has iron chin and iron mouth, or someone has a little pillow fisted.
Yeah, or the fact that he was just, it was one of those moments where you go like, did I watch it live? No. But when I heard about it, did I go back and watch it? Fuck yeah.
You watched the whole fight for that? Or just
I did not fast forward that.
Come on, wife. I watched a little.
I was like, what round is it? I want to watch
exactly.
I went third round. Okay,
and then
the whole round. Okay,
yeah. And there was that moment of like, oh no, he's not. At first I thought he was crying. I didn't know that they could. And then I figured out, oh shit. He's booing with them. Fucking A, this is great. I'd like to do this at work. I would like very specifically. I would like to do color commentary from my life as I'm living my life. That would be fucking phenomenal. Here comes Eugene, walking in the same door he's walked in for the past 6 years, saying hello to people he doesn't really like, but he says hello anyway. Now he's sitting down in a chair. Oh, probably causing him deep vein thrombosis. Look out, his leg. I would probably last a day if that were the case, but it would still be fun to do.
Oh man, so that's why I'm living vicariously through Paul Daley. Nate, what's your heel turn?
My heel turn? It's got to be the stupid ass ESPN deal. This is like watching Snidely Whiplash get away from Dudley Do-Right yet again through no merit of his own. Snidely's plan was full of holes, and still Do-Right fucks it up. And WME borrows this insane idiot amount of money with a completely wildly unrealistic plan to pay it off. And here they go finding somebody even stupider and with more money than them. Disney is desperate. ESPN is hemorrhaging. What'd they lay off? Half of Bristol, Connecticut 4 months ago? And here they are paying $150 million a year for the next 5-6 years till 2023 for shitty shows from the UFC. This is just, as Dave Meltzer said, from the ESPN standpoint, if you're judging from traditional economics, the deal would make no sense. Unfortunately, Dave doesn't understand gnome underpants economics because clearly, license the UFC, shrug your shoulders, make money. This is the plan, and yeah. The one upside is ESPN will, being the unprincipled grifters they are, give the UFC plenty of favorable coverage, which is a big asset. But does it make up for all the people that won't see these fights because nobody's subscribing to this shitty streaming service from ESPN? So it's a genius play for WME as far as bringing in cash flow, because the amount of money per event, you'd have to get like 300,000, 280,000 pay-per-view buys, which they used to do, 6, 8, 10 times a year, but now they're lucky to do twice a year. So maybe they'll have the budget to put some killer fights on those cards and cut back on the pay-per-views. And then maybe the Fox deal makes a little more, if they sign a new Fox deal, even at not much above what they're at now, then they're rolling like, pigs in shit. But from ESPN's perspective, oh my fucking God. So this is just like watching Ari Emanuel slip off the ropes like this because of a rescue by fucking dumbass Mickey Mouse. It's
Well, you know what the joke, right? About being faster than the bear. I don't have to be faster than the bear, buddy. I just get to be faster than you. So,
That's right.
So find somebody stupider than you are, you sell to them
with more money.
Yep.
Do you think they were aware of, was this, in the cards prior to the purchase? Like, oh my gosh, like once we get this property, I already know. I think they had to. They already knew the partners that they can pitch this.
Well, I mean, they knew the players and they knew the streaming game that fools were dropping mad money on it. And you had incumbent players with big money and no streaming vehicle like Disney that are liable to make a dumbass splurge. So, and they might have, cut a deal with Netflix or Amazon. I mean, I'm sure they were talking to those guys. Amazon's not going to spend this kind of money. Netflix or Amazon might have actually built an audience because people actually watch those streaming services, but they weren't going to spend this kind of money. And yes, the UFC WME needs the serious cash flow to pay back the interest payments.
Well, yeah.
Eugene, who's in Lost Battalion?
Again, this is a fun segment now because everybody's dialed in, but what I'm going to say. I've been trying to get a hold of it again in his response, which I think was completely genius in that it name checked guys. Every single word of the tweet made me fucking laugh, but everybody knows it's coming. Everybody's seen it's coming. Hate to say it, but Iceman, bro, how could you not be in the Lost Battalion and not be currently fighting and start out your fucking return in the fucking Lost Battalion? How can that be? How can you do that? How come you can't say like, yeah, I'm gonna get a few warm-up fights, get back in there, see, just see what this old body can do, something kind of self-effacing, all shucksy like that. Instead, you call out Johnny Boney Joni, who responds on blast because I'm kind of tied up until the middle of 2019, which was funny. And then he says, but I'm sure, and then he cites like some fucking, I wish somebody could find the tweet. He cites like Ric Flair and somebody. And maybe they're not too busy now. It was like, fuck, Chuck, how could you do this to yourself, man? How could you do it? And you put yourself in a worse place because, sorry, I got to move. Because there's no way that you're going to unseat Weidman, and there's no way that you can even get close to Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So you put yourself in an unenviable position in an undesirable place. So he's got to be my first entry. The second one, of course, is, and this is counterintuitive because he left his gloves in the cage, Vitor Belfort. But like I said in the Showstopper, you explained to me that fucking smack about I'm retired, but I haven't quit. I understand the fine line distinction between surrendering and giving up, okay? When Robert De Niro does Meet the Fockers 1 and 2, he surrendered, okay? When Val Kilmer does a straight-to-video movie with 50 Cent, he's given up. I understand the difference. But this I do not understand.
Man.
And so those are the two. I mean, the list is full and aggressive. I could put in a lot of people, but I'll just cap it there.
Man, thanks for joining us. Follow us on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson, Alexi Old, at Kid Nate, and Facebook at MMA Pancholis. Please give us a thumbs up, Eugene.
And if you're on Instagram, it's Mr. Sleep 3.
That's right. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube, MMA Nation on iTunes. Visit Bloody Elbow. Buy 7 Secret Source Inspiration. Buy Oxbow and Black Duke and Boone Wells' new album, wherever fine music is sold.
The easy way out.
That's right.
And I would like to take a massive note of thanks that, and you're not going to fucking believe this, since I've been making music since 1981, and I've been paid plenty of advances from record label. Greg Ginn himself gave me like $6,000 for Serenade in Red. Very nice. But for the first time ever, I have to assume due to the administrations of people who listen to Bloody Elbow shows, I am getting a fucking royalty check for Thin Black Duke. And that's the label emailed us yesterday, and we didn't even know what to do. We didn't even know what to do. It's never happened. Making music since 1980, it has never happened.
Oh, there we go.
No, one question.
I'm
did
thanking
you get a
you all.
check, or were you told you were going to get a check?
PayPal the cash.
Oh, damn.
Well, hats are off.
Cash
Keep in mind the way it's structured. It's 50%. It's 50% after after all expenses are paid. So not only did we pay all expenses for the record, but we got half of what the label had. We sold a lot of records. It's kind of cool.
Vox Legal says, what did Eugene just say about Bloody Elbow being responsible for him earning royalty payments? We'll talk later about how much is appropriate to some advertising maybe for the album.
We're still $55,000 in the hole on the record, so we're chipping away, but it's a good chip.
Listen to the Let It Roll podcast. And me find the show. Be sure to check out If the Shoes Fit. Eugene, how do they do that?
Right below, there's a link. We're gonna log out and we're gonna log back on at that link. You can find us in the next 90 seconds or longer because I got to use the bathroom. But in the next 2 minutes, then we'll be back.
Unless he has an epic leak. But regardless of that, we'll be back next week. Like that rhyme with another installment of If I Did It. And we don't know what we're going to be talking about yet because of PR mistakes. It's to be made.